Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Upton, where we're on a new save game. But this mower is not working when it's lowered, apparently. But it does work when it's raised. This is a dodgy convert of the old Cavernland mowers from FS13. Found it on Forbidden Mods, and I decided I'd give this a try. I'm not 100% gone on it, to be quite honest, because the only way you can mow with it is with it directly behind your tractor. There's like 6 of them in the pack, which is kind of nice. The conveyor belt doesn't work at all, which would be, I would consider, a basic function of this mod. Definitely the original. It's something similar to what I want, but like I'd like the conveyor to work, and I'd like it to be an offset mower if you want it to be an offset mower. In fact, in reality, this thing would only ever be an offset mower. But we're going to use it today just to mow this field and get a good first, well, get a thorough first impression of it, I think, is probably a better term than good. For some reason, it like starts... it folded, by the way. This is what the game regards as being folded. When you unfold it, it folds up the sides. This is it raised, which means that it's on the ground. If it's lowered, it is like completely just flat on the ground and actually inside the ground slightly. I'm probably honestly gonna get rid of this mod and all of the constituent parts probably immediately after this video, because I don't trust it and I don't like it. It's a bit of a shame. I replaced the New Holland mower I had with this and I regret it. Quite honestly, because the New Holland at least works the way that I'd like it to, or the way that I'd expect it to. This doesn't, and it's a shame. For any modders out there trying to think of something to do for FSUK's Mod Mania, which, by the way, you should probably consider entering if you're thinking of going into modding. It looks like it's going to be a good competition. There's going to be some interesting mods for sure. There's I know an I for Williams being worked on for it. There's an old Land Rover, Series 1, I believe, being worked on. Dorset's doing a new pack of random stuff. I'm sure there'll be a couple of maps in the mapping section. It's basically a smaller version of Giant's Mod Contest just for FSUK, with some quite strict rules for the maps that I'm not overly gone with, to be honest. I think at least one person might be kind of trying to get around those rules already, which would be very naughty if that ends up actually being true. I'm not going to name a name, but I saw a picture of a map that looked suspiciously far on for being like 2 days of work in November, when people have school and work and stuff. But it's being run by FSUK, and I think Frontier Designs basically are running it. The Bill Oxford Dave are making themselves very, very open to help anybody who needs help and give advice. So it's definitely kind of aimed at getting people into modding in the first place, which I can applaud that. I think we do need new modders coming along, and new good ones. And a competition is just what we need to get new people into farms and modding, because so many people think that it's difficult, but like, honest opinion, if you want to enter that and do the easiest possible thing, make a prefab. Second easiest possible thing, make a map, because maps are super easy to make. Like, I know that I've been working on my map for the better part of 2.5 years now, but that's just because I'm kind of running limited on time. I get burnt out quite easily. I'm very easily distracted. But it's coming together now at a rate that I'm kind of happy with. And by the way, I'm not gonna make you endure me doing the the tedding with the hay bob again. For those of you who were in the stream when I restarted this map, yes, I did do some tedding with the CDE models hay bob. I might keep using that, but I will windrow up properly first. I'll combine 2 or 3 rows into one. I like how wide this mower is. I've got a like, it's a really good mower, but it's just like it doesn't work properly. It doesn't have the functions that it should. If you got a mower and it's got a conveyor belt hanging off the back like this, the conveyor belt should work. And I'm yet to find a way that the conveyor belt does work. I may be missing something, but looking at the F1 menu, there's... You know, I'll show you guys. Detach, turn off more, lower more, because this is raised. Unfold more, because it's folded. There's nothing about lower conveyor belt. And from what I can see, mouse controls don't work either, so I'm completely in the dark as to how this actually works. The store image says it's by Basil Blues Modding and James Campion, who James I think comes around the streams occasionally. James, I'm sorry if you feel like I'm ripping on your work, or if this was supposed to be private. I found it. I'm sorry. It's on Forbidden Mods. Shout at them, not me. But it's a real shame. It's good for screenshots because, I mean, you know, it'll look good in screenshots, but actually using this, yeah, maybe not. I do have creative money on, by the way, just because I'm very, very tempted. Well, number one, I forgot to turn it off. Did I forget to turn it off, or is it... Okay, it is turned on. That's good, because I thought for a second there that somehow the game had glitched and given me $1 billion, or £1 billion to play with. It's a real shame. I'd love this mower to work properly and to have the conveyor working and to, you know, be a side offset trailed mower like it should be, but it just doesn't work. And that makes me sad. Because this is the exact mower I'd like. Is the Kverneland Tarup 4028, something like this at least. Because, being blunt, this is the kind of stuff that I see around me when it comes to silage season. Possibly even pulled by a John Deere 7710. This is the 77 I've got, yes. You know, this could be the exact setup I see. Granted, it wouldn't be in JF colours, it would be in Kverneland Tarup colours, but, you know, I'd see something like this. Very similar, maybe something very similar in John Deere colours, quite often. Or in McHale colours, or, you know, Krona colours, or something like that, but they all look, you know, something like this. And it's kind of sad to see this doesn't work at all, for the most part. Yes, it mows, but the additional features that made it so great in the first place when NI modding made it at first are really what makes this more great, and it just can't do them. Although the way NI modding did it in FS13 was a bit of a bodge job, I'll be honest. I'm not ripping on them, but they literally just, if you had the, I know why they did it, there wasn't any way to do it otherwise. If you had the conveyor belt down, it would literally just be a windrower hang off the back. It'd have that functionality. Just realised, by the way, that going around that loopy bit maybe wasn't the greatest idea, and I should have gone up and down this bit instead. But, I mean, I like the fact that I can use this mower, but I don't like the fact that it doesn't work, and the negative of it not working puts me off it more than the positive of it being able to mow does. It's a real shame. Also, I've just noticed the PTO attaching to the tractor is somehow after snapping in two. How did... Wait, what? So that's the front of the... Oh no, that's the top 3-point. I think. I'm not entirely sure what that is. think that's supposed to be the top link for the 3-point, which is somehow after attaching to a trailer hitch. And breaking in two. Because you can see the deer doesn't have the... See, that's where I forgot that this thing isn't properly trailed, because I was setting up as if it was. Yeah, the deer does have, like, the top link to the 3-point, but it just... See? Yeah, that is the top 3-point link. In fact, it shouldn't have a top 3-point link at all. That's weird, interesting, and wrong. Also, yeah. Yeah, I'm just gonna cut my losses here. And get rid of it. Because that's depressing. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab a different mower. I'm gonna grab... let's grab the coon mower from the DLC. Because I do want to do another field or two. I was going to do a screenshot with, or a thumbnail with the JF mower, but it's... There comes a point where something's so bad that even I don't want to use it as clickbait. And don't get me wrong, that would have been a clickbait thumbnail. It's just not worth it, because, yeah... There's some stuff on Forbidden Mods that's really good, and there's some stuff that unfortunately just doesn't live up to what you'd expect. And that falls into the latter category. We got the T-dub on the baler over there. Did have a big bud on it for a period, but it turns out the big bud's pretty big. Especially with triple wheels on, and couldn't actually do most of the baling. So let's get the... see, this is a much more logically sized mower. Or definitely logically laid out more. Interestingly, I'm not sure if that's supposed to happen in real life, that the 3-point link magically flips to being upside down, but okay. Let's get this unfolded. And this is quite a large mower. I like how big this mower is. The downside is, I believe, yeah, well, it doesn't really wonk up windrows. It's just that it kind of lays the grass down flat, which maybe isn't the greatest if you want to do silage. But because I want to do a lot of hay, right this minute anyway, it is actually convenient. And definitely is helping. So, I should mention now, halfway through the video roughly, that this video is essentially a test. And I'm going to explain myself real quick. The reason this video is a test is because, and Thursday's video will be as well, I don't know if you guys want videos of Upton or just streams of it. So, this video and Thursday's video are basically going to be tests. If they don't get good views, well, that's fine. I can... just go and move on to the West Coast full time. I don't mind that too much. On a second note, I asked on Discord just before recording this if people prefer more of the 30-minute mayhem that I'm doing at the moment, which is what I'm now calling these videos, just kind of to describe them, or if they prefer like better produced videos where I've got edits and like time-lapse segments and maybe even cinematic segments in videos. They said they want the cinematics and the fancy stuff. I did also say when I was asking that question, those videos would have to by necessity be every second day, because I can't spend... Well, I could spend 5 or 6 hours a day recording and all that, but I'd get literally nothing else done. I wouldn't be able to stream. So if I were to split it up between 2 or 3 days recording videos, then I could theoretically do these videos every second day and, you know, start getting up early in the morning, which would be nice. Once I've got my radiator fixed, which I still haven't done, by the way, I can do that. I was going to do it today, but it was quite mild earlier, and now it's starting to cool down again, so I'm kind of tempted to get it done this evening. He says at 10 to 7. So that's all the mowing we're going to do. We're going to keep this mower because I quite like it. And I'm just going to take a quick screenshot. We'll leave the mower out-ish. That'll do if you want to stop mower. You don't want to stop, do you? Take a screenshot here real quick for a thumbnail. For those of you who are interested in how thumbnails get taken. Ta-da! Thumbnail. Fold this back up and we can move this into this field here because people enjoy the fact that I just abandon equipment almost at random. I turned you off. Apparently I hit enter twice. Let's grab the fast track and get a reasonable... That's a weeder. That's not going to do what I want. Let's get a reasonable sized rake on the back. The Kuhn GA will... Actually, the New Holland rake might do, but... No, we'll get the Kuhn rake, because this is going to do exactly what I want it to. And because the hedges have collisions, unlike on the west coast, I do have to come around like this. Why is the game so quiet? There we go. Because the hedges do have collisions even for vehicles, I do have to worry about which direction I'm trying to go. And actually use, you know, field exits and whatnot. Whereas on West Coast I can just kind of toddle off in whatever direction I want. And get things sorted that way. So we are going to use the hay bob to Ted, but we're going to do it in a bit of a backwards way. We're going to attach the windrower and windrow up the fields first, and then Ted the windrows. Which, granted, is something you wouldn't really do in real life, but for the purposes of the game and not spending 3 hours tedding, I'm going to do windrows and then Ted the windrows, because that little tedder, or the hay bob that I've got, actually does work quite well at just keeping the windrows together, because that's all hay bob just straight after mowing. They're nice little windrows, so if I hay bob windrows, it shouldn't be too much of an issue. So let's get this unfolded. It looks like we'll be pulling 2, maybe 3 rows into one here. Let's just see. It's going to be 3 rows into one. That's going to be a good windrow. Fantastic. It's going to be good for making hay. So, like I said, we are doing this a bit backwards. I know that it's going to annoy some people who insist on at least some vague semblance of realism, even with me. But it's the only way that I can do this and use the hay bob, because I really do like the hay bob, and I think it's possibly one of the best ways to Ted, if not the best way. Because it, you know, keeps the windrow together. It just works well. And if you're using smaller equipment and planning on making, you know, small bales and doing things properly, realistically, you'd probably come out with, let me think, well, a small mower, smaller than what's in game. And you'd use a hay bob on whatever windrows that makes. Whereas the way that I'm having to do it, because, you know, I'm not going to spend ages and ages and ages hay bobbing and mowing. This is just the most efficient way to do it. You know, if you were doing it completely realistically, you'd probably use something, maybe even as small as the Ford sickle bar. But definitely like the Novacat would be the more you'd use on a field maybe this size, maybe even a much bigger field than this. Because, you know, in real life you don't get butterfly mowers on a per farm basis. There's something that contractors use to do many farms. Whereas in Farm Sim, because of the way the game works, you can get it on your single farm and only ever need to do one field with them if you really want to. Because, hey, it's the fastest way of getting it done. Doesn't matter how much money you waste. Let's get creative money turned off now, because I don't need it anymore. You'll see we got £65,000. I was wondering how much we actually had in game. So we'll do 2 headlands here just to make sure that the baling goes well. That's the second headland done. And the reason I got the windrow turned off is because otherwise it'll just pick up random bits of the windrow and throw it everywhere, and I don't want that happening. So you'll have to deal with the windrower being off while I'm just moving it into position to start collecting up the last bits of grass here. This is going quite well. We'll have one more windrow and then this will be done. We can move in with the hay bob then after that. Now, if you're wondering why I've restarted the save game entirely, it's a very simple reason. I did a mod clear out since the last time I played this, and I can't for the life of me remember which mods I actually needed to keep for Upton. So I got rid of a lot of mods that I didn't think I used a lot, and some of them might have been on Upton. So, and also, I mean, that save was since I started playing it. Upton's changed a lot since then, so I'm just kind of letting the game catch up to where Upton really is now, instead of a hodgepodge of bits that were kind of half in Upton and half not, and me doing really weird edits to the save to make things work properly, and it's just an ease of making sure everything actually works kind of thing. So if you didn't guess, we're keeping with the, for the most part, old equipment. I do have a Lexion 750 because I didn't want to go too small with the harvester. We're keeping with the old equipment kind of style because, you know, in reality, a farm like Upton, even this size, wouldn't have the greatest and biggest of equipment to have kind of T-dubs and a Massey 240 sitting somewhere, probably as a yard tractor, and maybe an old fast track like this, and maybe a John Deere. Actually, probably a John Deere, because it's a small farm, and John Deere... our John Deere. You can see on this field the windrows aren't going to be nearly as big, because I'm just making a hames of it. He says as he drives into a fence. And deftly misses the fence the second time around. But oh, this field's going to be fun to windrow, isn't it? I've just... This is why I didn't mow this field originally, isn't it, Dave? Yes, Dave, this is why you didn't mow it. Well done, Dave. Thank you, Dave. You idiot. Yeah, don't like triangular fields like this. Because it just ends up with weird looking windrows that don't ever quite work the way that you'd like them to. So what we're going to do is we're going to put the hay bob on the back of the T-dub. We're going to hay bob up the fields real quick. Well, as quick as the T-dub can. Because people were complaining last time when I was using the hay bob on the back of the fast track. So, I mean, lesser of two evils is on the T-dub now. Or it's going to be on the T-dub. We'll just park the fast track up over here. Turn it off and get out. Grab the T-dub. Could put the hay bob on the back of the deer, but I've already used the deer today, so let's come on. It's just for variety, use the T-dub. This is courtesy of Pizza Wheel, Landy Kid, and somebody on MattXGS's Discord. I can't remember quite who made this edit of Matt's T-dubs. It is, in Matt's own words, an official edit. Or certified edit, I should probably say. With his full permission and blessing, and he approves of it. And I think likes it. Okay, that's the hay bob off the ground. There we go. Well, ooh. Apparently something I ate isn't agreeing with me too well. We'll just hay bob up this field because I've just noticed we're running a bit short on time. I was hoping to get some baling done today, but that's just not going to happen. So you can see it is basically just turning the windrow directly into hay, which is what the plan actually was, so I'm quite happy with that. I will need to make some silage at some point. We'll probably use grass. We'll probably do grass silage and get the lily in and do it like that, because I really like the lily. And it's a bit of a shame, but it doesn't particularly work with, well, it doesn't work with Courseplay almost at all. Courseplay doesn't recognize it as a harvester, which is a real shame, quite honestly. But as you can see, this hay bob does work as I would like it to. It's picking up the grass, turning it into hay, and laying it down a nice little line. So if you want cheap and cheerful tedding, this is probably the way to go, even though it's a bit backwards and, you know, you'd almost always ted in real life before windrowing. This hay bob works pretty well if you ted afterwards. Just the way the game works. Although in real life this hay bob would kick the grass out everywhere and not just lay it down into a nice neat little line, but the way Farm Sim has it working, tedders also act as kind of quasi-windrowers. If you ever watch carefully when you're tedding, even with a decent sized in-game tedder, you'll notice that it leaves down kind of quasi-windrows where it's tedded, yeah, but it kind of forms a line. I'm going to come up this way because it's going to be slightly faster than using the road. I can just make a beeline over to this corner of the field. And we can at least get started on the other field today. We won't get it quite finished. There's not going to be enough time, but I can make a start. I can finish it off camera, and in the next episode we'll actually probably do some harvesting because there are more fields to harvest. And I might see if I can get... well, I won't get any grass cut for silage straight away because I want to get hay sorted first and get that kind of down pat, and then afterwards I can worry about figuring out what to do for silage, because I do want to make pit silage on this map. I know I've been making a lot of bale silage. I want to do pit silage here for the animals because it's gonna be a bit easier to store. Honestly, it's just easier to do pit silage on some maps, a lot easier than on others. Like West Coast, you're probably best off doing silage bales because you can just store them in the pit. Here, you're probably better off doing pit silage, because why not? You can cart it around and make a big pile of silage somewhere if you really, really need to. And it just kind of works well for the map. And for those of you who might be wondering, Upton is available on Giants Mod Hub. It came out not too long ago, but it seems like the only map people actually want to see right now is the West Coast, which is very, very annoying for YouTubers. Like myself and Landy, we're kind of frustrated by the fact that everybody seems to want West Coast and nothing but the West Coast. Yeah, we like the map, but kind of variety is the spice of life, and it's kind of annoying kind of being shoehorned into a single map to do everything. So I think we both have our eyes on the lookout for an interesting map for an interesting idea. I think Landy's potentially got his map kind of planned. I don't. If you're in Discord, yesterday you would have found out what the idea is and kind of a little bit of hints towards it, but that idea, if and when I start it, it will not be a weekly thing, it will not be a daily thing, it might not even be once a month. It'll be whenever I feel like I want to record a video on this idea, I will do it, and it'll be done to you know, the same kind of high standard as the rest of my videos. The way that I see it, Sim uploads every second day and he's making... it's just by way of explaining why on earth I'm deciding to go to every second day uploads. Number one, it allows me more time to work on the videos and my own projects, being Donetsk, so the map will be out faster. Number two, it actually allows me more time to potentially stream. As strange as that sounds, because I can kind of play around with my recording times and stream in the evening, or stream some map making, or stream some spin tires or something, and work around that kind of stuff. Whereas right now I'm kind of recording, editing, rendering, done. Recording, editing, rendering, done. It's kind of a rut, and I want to get myself out of it, and the way that I'm going to get myself out of it is by completely changing what style of videos I do. There'll still be mayhem, I'll still keep some, I'll still keep quite a lot of derping in, I'm going to keep a lot of the comedy, but I am going to go kind of for a more, not sanitized, but more edited, better looking style, where, I can have a bit of fun with how I edit things. Is the plan. I don't know how it's going to work out because I hate editing, but it's the plan. But just looking at the time, we have run out and we've almost finished this field, so I'm going to leave you right now by saying I've been RainbowDave, you've been watching Farming Simulator 17 on Upton by Lancyboi. Until next time, stay safe and goodbye.